Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook.
We're building the operating system for creators who mean business, meaning that this is actually the core foundation of my creator business. Everything else funnels through this. The dashboard is customizable. It actually brings in data from the other platforms that I use. It's very, very extensible, right? Like, we run very different businesses from each other. You can't build an all-in-one platform when all looks different for each creator. And I think most of all on the brand, we want to keep creators at the center of it.
So this year marks the 10-year anniversary of something really special. That is the number of years I've advised this company, whose founder I brought on today, who just made a radical change in their business. We've had him on before, but Nathan Barry has just done something that is, I don't know if it's ever been done before. And what that is a second rebrand after a misfire. So Nathan and his company ConvertKit, which started around the 2012, 2014 era, I came on early as an advisor. I've seen them grown up, and I've seen them, like a kid grows up, make a lot of mistakes. And one of those mistakes was back in the 2017, 2018 era. They rebranded to a word, Seva, and a month later they took it back. And we're going to talk about that. But most of all, the rebrand that just happened from ConvertKit to now just Kit, just KIT.com. 3-letter domain, pretty wild. And we're not going to talk about how they did the rebrand. There's a lot of that is documented in a documentary on their YouTube channel. But we're also going to have Charlie, the creative director, Charlie Prangley, on later this month to talk more about the nuances of a rebrand and what you can do if you are ever rebranding and mistakes that were made before that were not made this time and those kinds of things. I wanted to bring Nathan on, the CEO of Kit, to talk about the plan. Why the rebrand? What does it actually mean? What brought it on? And what does the future of Kit look like? And I know a lot of you who listen to the show are interested in what this is and are users of Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit. It's still going to take me a little bit of a while to get used to just calling it Kit because ConvertKit was ingrained in my brain for over 10 years now. But this is a fascinating conversation. We get into the insights of Nathan versus competitors versus just feelings of wanting to make sure we get it right this time, all those sorts of things and more, and a lot of lessons learned no matter what size your business is. So let's dive into the rebrand of ConvertKit to Kit with Nathan Barry, CEO and founder of Kit. Here we go.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He's just 1 year away from having 2 teenagers in the house, Pat Flynn.
Nathan, welcome back to SPI, man. Thanks for being here, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is a big month for Kit, which I will still have to remember to say because I'm so used to saying ConvertKit because, well, actually, I'll have you reveal the big news in case people don't know. What has recently happened with ConvertKit?
When this comes out, we will have just made the switch from ConvertKit to Kit. Changing the name of a company 11 years in is kind of a big deal. So we'll see how everything goes. It's smooth so far, knock on wood. But yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So when you think of a rebrand in the way you just described it, like what does that mean to you? I mean, it's more than just a logo change. What does a rebrand really mean to you?
Oh, it's so many things. First, this is a little bit easier as a rebrand because we're like going from ConvertKit to Kit, right? We're shortening it rather than going for something entirely different.
Right, which you've done before, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we can get into that. So, going into the rebrand, probably the biggest thing is what does it mean as a company? What should people expect? Like, it wouldn't make any sense if there wasn't a story related to the product that we sell as it relates to the new name. So, like earlier this year, we launched our app store, and that is really how we think about what Kit is, right? Because everyone's creator business is different in some way. Your business, my business, and someone else's, they all have a little bit of a different angle. And so the way we talk about it is like, hey, you can build your Kit the way that's the right fit for your business by bringing in the right automations, bringing in these other apps to round it out. And so that'd be the first thing is the story overall of the name. Does it make sense? Logo, brand, style, all that's really important. And then ultimately it comes down to the perception of like, how do people refer to the brand? Like you always say like, this is the way we want to be perceived, but you got to actually base it on how people truly perceive you.
There was a reason to make the switch. What was the reason for you and for ConvertKit to move to Kit? What was the perception and what do we want the perception to be?
Yeah. So I think the perception was that we're software that's really good at helping people convert visitors to customers, which is a great perception to have. We want to keep all of that, but then level it up from there. So we want to build a brand that's really the operating system for creators who mean business. So really focusing it on creators who are taking their craft seriously. They're professionals. They're showing up in that way. And then it being a lot more than, a bespoke tool. It's like, hey, this is actually the platform that is going to run your whole creator business and adapt and grow with you as you plug things into it. And then, I'm recording right now in Kit Studios, which is the first of many locations that we're launching around, a physical space for creators to come in and create high quality content. Think of it like the Amex Centurion Lounge, is to American Express as Kit Studios will be to Kit. And so we needed a brand that like encompassed all of that. I think Kit does a good job.
Yeah, Kit Studios is a wild, imaginative solution for your customers. I mean, anybody can sign up if you are a ConvertKit user to book space. And currently there's a space in Boise, Idaho, and you said you're rolling out more spaces. Can you give any sort of hints as far as like what cities you're looking at?
Yeah, so we're still early because we got to figure out what it actually takes to roll this out. But Boise is 5 studios in one building. So there's individual recording studios like what I'm in right now to talk to you, where I got you up on the teleprompter, shooting through the DSLR. And then, so there's 2 set up like that. And there's 3 for like sit down podcast style conversations. As far as locations, we're looking, I think New York is coming up pretty soon. That's the one I'm looking at next. I think LA, Austin, Atlanta could be interesting. We'll get Boise and New York going and then, then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, this is a whole nother venture. I mean, an arm of Kit, if you will, which takes me back to an interesting question that I have. When ConvertKit started and you and I got on board and I became an advisor, I mean, this is 2014 era, early days. I remember specifically ConvertKit was such an amazing and innovative tool because it was like, we're going to master email for creators. And it wasn't even creators back then. It was bloggers. It was a very specific tool built that you had created for a very specific kind of user. And that's in contrast with what you just said as far as what Kit is and where it wants to go. And now you have these studios and it's this entire platform. How do you respond to somebody who's like, well, I like the best of the tool that does the one thing? Why isn't it still that? Why grow beyond that?
Yeah, I think the thing that's unique is the focus on the type of user. Most business tools used by creators are actually general small business tools, or they're made for another industry and they're borrowed into the creator space.
Yeah, that's true.
And so what we look at is, if our narrow lens is creators exactly, what can we do for creators that no one else can do? And so that's where you get into solving these problems. Like, none of our competitors are going to go and build studios for creators to come in and use, because they serve all of small business. But so that's just one example of something that we can do because we only focus on creators. The other thing is, I had a big intellectual dilemma for a long time around the all-in-one platform versus the narrow focused platform. And so I said for years, like, we're building the narrow focused platform. And the creators I would talk to would kind of say two things. One, they would say like, hey, we want the narrow focused platform. It should do one thing really well. Don't add in all this feature bloat where you're just checking boxes, but it doesn't actually provide value. And then they'd sort of separately, or like after that, be like, yeah, but could you do this thing that's really like an all-in-one? And creators were saying, we want the best of both worlds. And I thought for a long time, like, it's not possible. Like, these are two ends of the spectrum. You can do a few things really, really well, or you can go broad and do it all fairly poorly, where you don't serve any niche well. And I just sat with that problem, honestly, for years. And then it was probably 2022 that I was thinking about and watching some other platforms in other industries, specifically WordPress and Shopify. Be like, wait a second. The core product is pretty focused in both of those platforms, but it's the ecosystem of what's built on top of it. It's their app stores and plugins that really allow all of this flexibility. And so I realized that no one in the email space was building an app store where people can actually customize and change the experience and use it differently. So that's a huge opportunity for us. And we could actually have the best of both worlds, where we could say, hey, the core platform is dialed in. We've focused on this. We're not going off and building a course platform and a CRM for tracking individual sales leads and all of that. They would spread our team super thin. But we can build all of these hooks and integrations where someone else can then go build a CRM that is made specifically for coaches to track the sales that they, are like one-on-one leads. I mean, that's what we built and what we launched this year. And it's still super early. We got to build so many more endpoints and all of that. But I think my favorite example is this app called Kitboard, which is a CRM for ConvertKit, for Kit specifically. And what it does is, you and I, for the most part, when we interact with our audience, sell products or all of that, it's one to many, right? You don't really need a custom field for someone's spouse's name, all these things that, like, if we were doing direct sales, we might be keeping track of. And so ConvertKit see, I'm going like ConvertKit Kit right here. So Kit is focused on that one to many. James Clear is sending an email out to 1 million people, right? That's the way that we operate. And then you have CRMs over in the other space where it's like, all right, we're dealing with 20 sales leads. I've got 50 leads for my design agency and I'm working through them and tracking status and logging details. And usually those worlds don't meet, but I keep finding examples where those worlds overlap. Like a coach, I think, is a great example. Someone might have a newsletter and a podcast as a coach, and they've got 3,000 people on that list that they talk to one to many. But then, you get a lead, someone who wants to sign up for coaching services at $500 or $1,000 a month. Well, you talk to them one-to-one and you need to move status and track them and track that sales opportunity. And so Matt Crandall, the developer behind Kitboard, built this app entirely on top of Kit, where it uses all the same data. There's no syncing. There's none of that. And it is just this other view that lets you track the status of each sale and everything else, and then run automations and everything off of it. Because guess what? It's all powered by Kit. And so it has Zapier built in. It has full automations. It has landing pages. It has everything else. And so that's where we realized, like, wait a second, we truly can have the best of both worlds, like this narrow focus platform that then has targeted apps built for it. And Matt just came out with an update about a week or two ago where he's like, Kitboard now has, he lists off all these features. And I'm watching it as, the owner of Kit, and being like, all these new amazing features just shipped for effectively Kit's CRM, and no core Kit team member spent any time on it, but now it has like 5 new features. And so as a customer, the rate of development and improvement and like solutions for your business just gets so much faster.
Similar to an iPhone and the App Store being the engine that kind of made the iPhone accessible and utility for everybody, just depending on who developed these tools. What's in it for Matt? I mean, he seems to be doing a lot for this and for Kitboard. I mean, that is incredible. What's his benefit?
Yeah, so similar to the App Store for the iPhone, he's able to sell and price the app how he wants. And so he's saying I think he has a basic plan for $100 a year and then a more advanced plan for $200 a year where you can layer this on. And so, yeah. So
he has a whole business model inside of Kit now through the App Store.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, imagine, the iPhone's a great example because imagine if you use the iPhone, but you could only use apps that Apple made. We remember back to when the iPhone first came out and it was super cool, but like Apple had 8 apps and you can only use the calculator for so long. Like it's really like opening it up to the community. And that was kind of crazy to me to see that like, oh, the App Store, Shopify, all these other things exist, but no one in the email space was doing that.
That's really amazing. Well, congrats on that. And, the innovation that I'm starting to see with Kit now, I mean, it almost is like the name change is just the end result of a lot of the changes that have been happening in the new direction that you're taking. What spurred on this new direction? What caused this new innovation? I'm not just talking about the App Store as well and not the rebrand and the name, but it seems like over the past year and a half, there have been a lot of new and finally novel things. And I say finally because it had felt like for so long after the birth of ConvertKit that it kind of just, I want to say, was resting on its laurels for a while or complacent.
Yeah, like stalled out for a little while.
Tell me about that. What was it? Just it grew into something that was now slower to move on, or were you scared of something, or what was going on during that time period?
I think there's a couple things. One is just growing pains as a company. As you figure out what it takes to scale a platform, and we'll say a platform and a team, right? As you get past 50 employees, sending billions of emails, that kind of thing. There's these inflection points that you hit where it's like, oh, we just have to level up the infrastructure and all of that. And so from a customer perspective, it's like, I don't know, the product is the same as it was before. And it's like, oh, but actually before we could send 1 billion emails a month and now we can send 5 billion a month, And as a user with 10,000 subscribers, you're like, I don't know, it just works like it's supposed to. But there's a huge amount that went behind the scenes to make that happen. The other thing is we spent a long time, probably, around like 2020, maybe 2019 to 2021, we were focused really internally, trying to figure out what does it look like to build and scale a team. I think I had a lot of lessons to learn, as the leader of a team at that size. And then, between that and dealing with a lot of technical debt, like that took up all the attention of the company. And then there's sort of this round of, I guess, things that we've always believed in, but maybe more aggressively pursued. Like one thing is on the community side. I've always deeply believed that being a creator is a multiplayer activity, right? You think back to, I think you and I first met at New Media Marketing?
New Media Expo. Or Blog
World, whichever it was called then. Right. And then getting together for coffee the next time I was in San Diego, right? I have dozens and dozens of stories of people that I met who I partnered with in some way. They encouraged me or whatever else that like led to where I am today, both as a creator and, running Kit. And I think every creator I talk to has tons of those stories. But what was kind of odd to me is that we're all like form masterminds, go to meetups, go to conferences, do not do this journey alone. And then we're all using email software that's like, oh yeah, but you have to do this journey alone. When it comes to the software, this is a solo activity, but everything else about your creator journey is multiplayer. And so that's another huge pivot where we realized like, wait a second, we've always believed this. Why is it not baked into the product? And so that was the launch of Creator Network, where we're saying, all right, we're building a product that is collaborative by default. If you and I were starting our newsletters, and our creator businesses all over again, and we've got a few hundred subscribers each, and we meet at a conference and we're hit it off and we're encouraging each other and we're saying, hey, let's form a mastermind so that we can help each other grow. Well, now we can actually just go in Kit and recommend each other as well. So now every time someone subscribes to your list, it promotes mine and vice versa. And so you get this like collaborative experience and journey. And that's just the first feature in Creator Network. We want to build all these other features of like, hey, what if we could co-market between our lists in our separate accounts, but we can share a segment across them? Or how could we help people match up with other creators? So there's all kinds of things, but it's basically all these things that we've always believed. And now we're just very hungrily building into the product.
With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. What percentage was a result of just that understanding of, okay, we need a community here. We need to be able to help connect people together. And I know that you had for years tried that and are still doing Craft and Commerce, which is the once a year event. So it's very apparent that that was a part of your nature and the company's nature to bring people together. But now it's kind of baked into the Creator Network inside of the software, which I think is really cool. What percentage of it is inspired by that kind of need and want for community versus tools like Substack and Beehive having something similar going on and people talking and kind of like seemingly innovating a little faster during that time? How much did they play a role?
A pretty decent role. So there were two products at the time that came out basically at the exact same time. One is SparkLoop. They launched a product to help anyone on any platform do this recommendation functionality. And then Substack did the same thing at basically the exact same time. And so SparkLoops was cross-platform and Substacks was within their platform. And so that was that recommendation functionality. And so we got to sit back and watch that and go, okay, this is interesting. It's starting to work. You know, we can watch it happen in the ecosystem. It matches this long-term belief that we've had, but we didn't necessarily know how to put it into practice. What are the mechanics that we actually use? Like things that we explored is like, okay, do we need to have a Reddit style voting page or, you know, like dig.com back in the day where things are voted up and down based on, you know, maybe someone's like popular newsletter essay is ranked up there or something else or products. You know, how do we provide discovery for creators? And really what we learned watching SparkLoop and Substack at the same time is like, oh, it's not about what discovery we can provide for creators. It's about how we can connect them better so they provide that for each other.
Yeah.
And so that really kicked off the project of like, okay, how well is this working? Oh, it seems to be working well. We should be doing this within our ecosystem. And then, you know, Substack's doing it in a closed way. SparkLoop's doing it in an open way. And so we're like, that's in line with our values. And so that's where we put together the deal to acquire Sparkloop and bring them into the ecosystem. And so now the cool thing with Creator Network is inside of Kit, you can use the Creator Network with any other Kit customer. But then Sparkloop allows you to use the paid functionality in it across any platform. And so we're able to build a much bigger network because someone who's a Kit customer can benefit from all the other Kit customers who are in it, and then also everyone else. So for example, the Hustle is not a Kit customer. They're using like enterprise level newsletter software, but they are an active sponsor inside of the paid recommendation side of Sparkloop. And so that's available to all the Kit customers. So it's pretty fun to see it come together.
It has been really fun. You know, I've been there since the beginning of the Creator Network. I was invited to the little beta sessions that were done to validate it and to break it and rebuild it with you. And that was done really, really well. I love how you included us in that process, or a few of us at least.
That feels forever ago. And I realized that was just like less than 18 months ago.
Yeah, things are moving fast. Things are moving fast. And so what I always say, it's like, okay, well, is ConvertKit / now Kit just trying to play catch up? And my answer to that, and I'd love your answer too, I think we're at a point now where we've caught up and we're now innovating faster. And we have this incredible moat, which is the number of users on Kit that allows for this Creator Network to be the most powerful kind of email-based network available to most creators, which I think is really special. And I'm so glad because for years, even during the sort of lull period, if you want to call it that, there was still this equity being built up of users and people who have fallen in love with the brand. And now it's being like put to use and is of benefit to everybody else inside of it. It's been really neat to see it all kind of unfold, albeit, a little slowly during those years. But I mean, man, you've caught up. Well done to you and the team.
It's interesting the areas that you decide to focus on. And then what happens in the market, right? Because something that we haven't talked about, and actually a much bigger company than Beehive or Substack, is Flowdesk. And they came in and really built a company around like beautiful email design. And they did it by rendering the emails as images so you could get great design. It's not as great for readability, but it really demonstrated like, oh, people really, really want that. And so when I think of like, I actually have this list that I keep on my computer of unforced errors. So like, in baseball, there's errors that you make that the other team, really set you up for. But then there's the unforced errors where it's like, yeah,
that was on us.
That was all you, And so one of the things that I have on this list of unforced errors is that I was late to figuring out that the creator industry, creators really wanted not just like pretty simple plain text emails like I was used to sending and a lot of copywriter focused. They wanted like beautifully designed email templates. And we were pretty late to figuring that out and like changing that perspective. And it was really Flowdesk coming in and like demonstrating, hey, you can build a business to tens of millions a year in revenue off of this core value prop. And so that took us a while to figure out how do we deliver like on beautiful emails without compromising like the readability and the accessibility, so like you can't put all this text in images. Like it's not good for screen readers. It's not, all of this stuff. It's not good for deliverability. And so like that took us longer first to come around to we should do this. And then second to figure out technically how to do it. Now to do it, I feel like we've leapfrogged in a bunch of ways because we not only have the tech and design built out, but then we also now have this email template marketplace where all these great designers are building and selling templates. So like our mutual friend, Caleb Wojcik, relaunched his newsletter and I just saw that, that he had sent it out and he had used a new template that he had bought from another designer named Rafal who sells it on the Kit template marketplace. And that was a fun moment. And a bunch of people emailed Caleb and was like, did you switch to Flowdesk? And I was like, nope, this is Kit. Like you can get these world-class designs and in so many of them because they're made kind of like the App Store, right? It's not what can the Kit team make for creators. It's how can the Kit team make a platform? And then what can creators make for creators, which turns out is a lot.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. Let's switch back to the rebrand itself and the move to Kit. This is not an easy thing to do, and you had one false start before.
Yeah.
What were the lessons you learned from the last time that you made sure to get it right this time? What were those things, and how did you address them? And if you wanted to tell the story a little bit, just to kind of set it up, you know.
Basically, we had talked about it a lot back in 2017, 2018, of really looking for a name that was bigger than ConvertKit, that could encompass, this big vision. Actually, it was when I saw your San Diego studio that you opened up that then I thought, oh, we need to enable this for more and more creators. And so that's when the first ideas for...
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
What now is Kit Studios.
This is my fault?
Yeah, exactly. This is all Pat's fault.
Oh, no.
But thinking about, I had these much bigger dreams and felt like we had outgrown ConvertKit as a name. And so we went in the search for a new name, and we ended up landing on Seva as a name, which in Hindi means service. In Sikh culture, it means selfless service. And we rolled out that switch to the name. We went for a big, flashy launch. We did the full cut, live at the conference, did the full cut over right then. We pulled it off all at the exact same moment. And that had two immediate reactions that we expected. One was, this is great. I didn't actually like ConvertKit as a name because it felt too salesy. I didn't want to, I'm not converting my audience. I'm serving them, I'm helping them. And so I love where you're headed. The next reaction was this is dumb. ConvertKit made sense as a name. What even is Seva? You have all this brand equity built up. ConvertKit is clear, Seva is not. So we expected both of those reactions. But then there was a third reaction that we didn't expect just from being naive. And that was, hey, Seva is actually a sacred word in Sikh culture. In our religion, it's the highest form of worship. And that word means a lot to us. And so that was the one where oh, we did not understand what we were getting into. And so we ended up really having a lot of conversations, really listening to the Sikh community there, and then making the decision to roll back. And so we were Seva for all of 30 days. And then have spent the last 6 years as ConvertKit.
I mean, that is, we don't have to dive into it. I think we've covered this before on the show, but
I think so.
That's a little bit of a PR nightmare around that time.
Yeah, it was rough.
But you got through it. And so I would imagine that when the idea for the rebrand to Kit came up, all these feelings and questions started to come back. How did you make sure and understand that you weren't going to go down the same route? I mean, obviously Kit is, I don't know if it's a religious or sacred term, but I mean, it's shorter than ConvertKit. It's part of the original name already. What inspired that name and what made you move forward with it? Yeah,
so I had at first thought I've used up all the chances to rebrand. Some things you have one shot at in life, and if that doesn't, let the idea go and move on. But we always had this thought of well, there is actually one name that we could rebrand to that would fully encompass our vision, and not be such a big deviation that it we could actually go to it. And that's, going from ConvertKit to just Kit. There's a long track record of the Facebook to Facebook, TransferWise to just Wise, right? A lot of people have made moves like that and had it go really well. So we were wondering if the domain ever becomes available. We didn't want to become thekit.com. That was not going to work. If we're doing it, it had to be kit.com. So we get into the domain story in a bit, but I think the first thing was a natural transition of this is just a company growing up rather than something that's a huge difference. Second was really soliciting a lot of feedback from customers beforehand. Charlie did a lot of calls with customers and creators to understand the reactions, what those would be, a lot of research there. And then the next thing is the rebrand in public, of launching it and saying, hey, we're going to do this. And then having a whole bunch of time in between then and when we actually did it, having a couple of months so that we could get through all the SEO implications and the technical, there's a lot. And really so we get help and feedback from the community, right? So people can come in and say, hey, I've actually done a giant domain migration before. Let me share the lessons learned. And so our SEO team and them get on a call and we've really learned from that. So those are some of the big things that were different, of no longer the splashy moment and instead really going for methodical execution.
Yeah, so far the rollout's been way better than the first time around, number one.
The bar was low.
That's true too. But no, I mean, I have to commend you, and especially Charlie, who we're going to have on later in the month, who was a creative director in charge of a lot of the what's behind the decisions that are made. And she did a wonderful job. So just as of yesterday, if we're recording this in August, but at the time this episode goes out, it should be the day prior, yesterday, that the brand officially switches over. And so I know that the new look and the new feel and perspective is one of being bold, those kinds of things. What are your thoughts on the new direction of Kit and why those choices? What is the perception we're trying to give off nowadays?
Yeah, so I think it's that we're building the operating system for creators who mean business, meaning that it should be not just a side part of your tech stack or like, oh, this is how I reach my audience, but this is actually the core foundation of my creator business. Everything else funnels through this. So you'll see things like the dashboard is customizable in a way that you can say, hey, this is the dashboard for my creator business. It actually brings in data from the other platforms that I use. If I sell on Teachable or Mighty Networks or something else, like that data flows right through into the dashboard and I can see it all in one place. It's very, very extensible, right? Like we run very different businesses from each other. You know, you can't build an all-in-one platform when all looks different for each creator, right? And so having that extensive functionality. And then I think most of all on the brand, we want to keep creators at the center of it, right? You'll see that in all of our storytelling. Even the documentary we're making about the rebrand is not just the story of our rebrand. It's talking like we're interviewing all these creators in the Kit ecosystem who have also rebranded and what they've learned and what they do differently and all of that along the way. So those are the main things of like, empowers your core business. It grows with you. It's for creators who mean business, who are taking this seriously. And then creators are at the heart of it.
Where can one go and check out that documentary? It sounds interesting. And if anybody out there is doing a rebrand, this might be a great place to start to get some insight. When we talk with Charlie, we're going to get some specifics as far as like, well, what questions should we ask our audience? How should we understand what the color choice should be or those kinds of things? So we'll get into that with Charlie, and I'm sure that's covered in the documentary as well. But where can people watch that?
It'll all be at kit.com.
Kit.com. Nice. As we finish up here, Nathan, it's always great to have you on the show. You know, we've had you on when you were just an author before the software development came. We had you come on when you finally made that decision to go full-time with ConvertKit before you were deciding whether or not you should keep doing the author thing. And then, you know, of course, we're all grateful that you chose this route. But here we are today, now in the sort of new era or new phase of Kit. 5 years from now, what does it look like for us who invest our time and money and efforts and our ecosystem, our business into building on Kit? What does that look like in 5 years for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is that Kit will still 100% be around, independently owned, serving creators, right? Of like, we have no desire whatsoever to sell or raise capital that requires us to go, you know, down some other investor first route. That's the first thing. I think the second thing is it's really coming together as a community, not just around we do similar things, so maybe we'll use the same tool in a similar way, but actually where each creator makes the product better because they're on it, right? Like when a new creator joins Creator Network, it becomes a little bit better for everyone because there's now more opportunity for matches and collaboration. So you get those network effects. And then the same thing in, you know, apps and everything else, right? You get these creators, whether they're designers or developers, who are like, I wish that Kit had this thing. And then they go, so I made it. And now it is, you know, either I'm selling it or it's something that I'm giving away for free. And basically this idea that it's our platform collectively and we can all make it better. Because that's what creators do, right? Creators, we have this lens and this viewpoint on the world of like, of being inherent optimists, where we believe that the future will be better than the present because we're going to make it so. It's not, oh, someone else will solve these problems or make the, you know, deal with that. It's like, no. I am going to play an active role in shaping the future. So I think it's this commitment that we all have at Kit, and then that, you know, Kit customers have to each other of like, hey, we're paving the way for the whole next generation of creators. And we do it in the tutorials that you share, the podcast episodes, the shared automations. Next year, we'll launch a landing page marketplace where designers can build and share and sell landing pages. And it makes it like we're just knocking down as many barriers as possible so that you can create a thriving business.
I love it. And then Kit Studios, more locations. San Diego, I'm waiting for the San Diego option.
We're going to have to figure out what the collaboration is on the San Diego location, because that'd be pretty fun. I got to figure out how we bring in the local community. You know, like you don't want to do a Kickstarter for locations necessarily, but you want like the community in that city to be like, this is ours. We collectively brought this to life. That's something that you and I will have to brainstorm some more.
Dude, you're getting me way too excited right now. We could go on and on about that. Let's chat about that offline for sure. And, we'll look back at this episode one day with the start of this idea. But thank you, Nathan. This has been incredible. Congrats to you and the team on the rebrand. smartpassiveincome.com/kit. That is our affiliate link. You also have the new plan as well for the newsletter plan. What is that exactly? How many free subscribers could a person gather as they start to build their business on Kit?
Yeah, so it's 10,000. As people saw all the price increases across the industry and they saw us do a rebrand, then they're like, well, you got to pay for that somehow. So I guess the prices are going up. And I was like, no, actually, they're going the other way.
Yeah, we're going the opposite way. Incredible. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have been an advisor this entire time and still, and to see it grow up and to see where it's at now. I'm very proud to be a part of the Kit team and just super stoked for you and what you've built and where it's going. Congrats, man. Any final words before we part?
No, I just say thank you so much for your help and support along the way. Like your expertise and care and passion, like your fingerprints are all over this company over the last, 8 years? It's been a long time.
Thank you, man.
Anyway, the company would not at all be what it is now without you and the SPI community.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for that, Nathan. And best of luck. We'll talk soon. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Nathan Barry. A lot of great insights. And the Kit Studios is a thing. Like, I want this ASAP locally to me now. There's a lot that goes into that, obviously. But man, I would do whatever it takes to make that happen here in San Diego and maybe around a location near you one day. But Nathan, congrats to you and the team. Head over to smartpassiveincome.com/kit. You can check out their newsletter plan if you aren't signed up already, or if you haven't even been there in a while, go and check it out. Kit.com. It's pretty epic what they've done and the stance that they're trying to make, the position that they're making, what they're trying to say with the rebrand and how they made these choices. Again, we're going to have Charlie Prangley on, the creative director from Kit, later on in the month, more toward the end. So make sure you subscribe now so you don't miss that. Plus, we have a lot of amazing conversations that we're going to happen or have happen here on the show between now and then. But we'll be talking about more decisions that are made, why certain font choices, all these kinds of things, down to the little nuances and the questions that you can ask your audience when you are doing a rebrand to make sure you're headed in the right direction. And again, don't make the mistakes that Kit did once back in the day. They get a second try, and that's pretty unusual. So congrats, and thank you for listening all the way through. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this insider view on Kit and what they've been up to, and I look forward to serving you in the next episode. Till then, keep on keeping on. Keep rocking it. Cheers, y'all. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn, sound editing by Duncan Brown, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place: recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature: Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it.